The afternoon air was heavy with the scent of damp earth, the kind that hinted rain might fall any minute. Daniel Hayes rolled into the old gas station on the edge of town, the kind of place most people only stopped at when they had no other choice. Its pumps were old-fashioned, blue paint peeling, the Red Star logo faded and chipped. The station sat lonely by the roadside, framed by a wall of tall pines, their leaves whispering in the late summer breeze. Daniel wasn't in any hurry. These days, his life was a balance of surviving and making it look like he was fine for his daughter's sake. Lily was 6, curious and bright-eyed, the one thing keeping him grounded after his wife, Anna, passed away 2 years ago. Every decision he made now circled back to her. Money was tight. His job at the hardware store paid just enough to cover the rent on their small house and the bills, but it left little for emergencies. As he pumped gas, his eyes drifted across the lot. That's when he saw her. A silver pickup sat a few yards away, parked beside a pump but clearly not in use. A woman stood next to it, one hand pressed to her mouth, her green dress swaying lightly in the breeze. Her shoulders shook in a way that told Daniel this wasn't just frustration, it was despair. On the tailgate of her truck sat a boy, no older than 7 or 8. His legs dangled, toes barely brushing the bumper, his small hands resting in his lap as he stared at the ground. Daniel's first instinct was to mind his own business. People had problems. It wasn't his job to fix them all. But then the boy looked up, just for a second, and their eyes met. Something in that gaze, loneliness, maybe fear, pulled Daniel's feet forward before he even realized he'd let go of the pump handle. "Ma'am, you okay?" His voice was calm, gentle. The woman looked up quickly, startled. Her eyes were red, the kind you only get from holding back tears for hours. "I'm fine," she said automatically, though her voice trembled. "Just car trouble." Daniel stepped closer, his gaze shifting to the rear tire of her truck. It was completely flat, the rim almost scraping the pavement. "Looks like more than trouble. You got a spare." She shook her head, brushing blonde hair away from her face. "No, and I don't have the money for a tow." She tried to smile, but it faltered. "We've been on the road all morning. I just wanted to get us somewhere safe." Daniel glanced at the boy again. "Your son." She nodded. "Ethan." Her voice softened when she said his name, as if it was the only safe word she had left. Daniel squatted a little to meet the boy's eyes. "Hey, buddy, I'm Daniel." Ethan gave a faint nod, but didn't speak. His shoulders were hunched forward, and Daniel could tell he wasn't used to strangers talking to him. Straightening, Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Look, I've got a jack and a spare back at my place. It's a couple miles from here. I can swap your tires so you can keep going." She hesitated, suspicion flickering in her eyes. "Why, you don't even know us." Daniel shrugged. "Because someone once stopped for me when I needed help. Guess it's my turn." She studied him for a long second before nodding. "I'm Claire," she said quietly. They followed him back to his small house, Lily running out to greet him as soon as they pulled into the driveway. Her hair was messy from playing outside, and her smile was the kind Daniel lived for. While Daniel worked on the tire, Claire stood nearby, arms crossed, not out of hostility, but habit, like someone used to protecting themselves. The kids sat on the porch steps. At first, Ethan kept his eyes on the ground, but Lily's chatter slowly broke through his silence. Within minutes, she had him laughing at her silly stories. Inside over coffee, Claire told him the truth. She left her husband 2 months ago after years of emotional and physical abuse. She had no family nearby and had been living out of her truck while searching for work. Her money was running out fast, and the flat tire felt like one more cruel reminder that life didn't care if you were already on your knees. Daniel listened without judgment. He didn't offer pity. He knew it wasn't what she wanted. Instead, he just nodded. "Sounds like you've been carrying a lot," he said quietly. By sunset, the tire was fixed. Claire tried to press a few crumpled bills into his hand, but he waved them away. "Save it for gas," he told her. He thought that would be the end of it, but 3 days later, there was a knock at his door. Claire stood there, dressed in the same green dress, but with a different posture, more confidence, a spark of hope in her eyes. "I hope I'm not intruding," she said. I wanted to thank you, not just for the tire, for not making me feel like I was a burden." She handed him an envelope. Inside was a letter explaining that she'd once worked in HR for a major logistics company. They were hiring for a logistics coordinator, steady hours, solid pay, benefits. She'd already called her old boss and told him about Daniel. The interview was set for tomorrow. Daniel stared at her, stunned. "Claire, I don't even know what to say." "Say yes," she said with a smile. "You deserve a break." The interview turned into a job offer. The job turned into stability. Stability turned into weekends at the park with Lily, a working truck, and the peace of knowing the bills would be paid on time. Over time, Claire and Ethan became part of their lives. They shared meals, laughter, and slowly, trust. Daniel realized something one autumn afternoon as they sat on the porch, watching the kids chase fireflies. When he stopped at that gas station, he thought he was helping a stranger. But in truth, fate had brought him the very people who would change his life forever. Sometimes, the road to a better life isn't paved. It's flat-tired, rain-soaked, and waiting for someone to stop.